Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Super Paranormal Chronicles. My name's Lee. I'm your host, and tonight I have got the quietest person in the world. I'm lying, of course. I've got Tom Franklin, who is the host of the Eye of the Jupiter podcast. Tom, welcome.
Oh, well, welcome to the show. I'm glad I'm here. It's not the Eye of the Jupiter, it's the Eye of Jupiter, but fair enough.
I said that, the Eye of Jupiter.
You said of the Jupiter. You threw two articles in there.
Look, it's a planet. Leave me alone.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, man. Lee, thank you for having me on, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and as per my introduction, you now know he's not quiet. So we've been talking offline for about the last 20 minutes. You're in Mexico.
Yes.
No doubt it's really nice and warm.
Mm-hmm.
I hate you because it's like minus 17 and we've got snow on the ground.
You don't even know me, Lee.
So I'm assuming it's nice and hot where you are.
Yeah, we are currently at about this time of year is a very nice time of year. It's a dry season, so between like the end of November till March, it starts getting a little warm again. Well, a little warm in comparison to I think you're in Canada, I believe.
Yeah,
it's like so right now it's about every day about 30 degrees Celsius, sunny skies, and beautiful weather.
And I'm just going to hit stop on this recording now.
He's lying, folks. He's lying. Don't believe him.
Okay, Tom. So as I said, and I will correct myself, you are the host of the Eye of Jupiter podcast.
Yes, sir.
However, what I'd like to do, let's go back in time, do a bit of time travel. And what was your first paranormal experience, or what got you involved with the paranormal, and how did your life go on from there?
Yeah, Lee, thanks for asking. Like it started at 8 years old for me, and whether I wanted it or not was what happened. So my family and I, my dad was in between jobs, and we had to move to my grandmother's house, and she lived in a row home on 337 South Fulton Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland. That way you can look it up on Google Maps. It's a real place. And so it's a row home. So in Baltimore, Philadelphia, they're kind of the same style. So there's blocks and blocks of houses that look the same. And so this particular house, when you go up the steps, you go to the left. That's where my grandmother and her husband slept. And then if you go to the right towards the back of the house, there was 2 rooms with no corridor between them. So you have to go through the rooms. And then in the very back of the house is where the bathroom was. So my parents slept in the first bedroom. And then my sister and I was 8. So 88. Yeah, I was 8 and she was 7. We both slept in the same room. And on the weekends, my mother would have partial custody of my half sister. And she was about 13 at the time. Yeah, 75. I was 8. Yeah, it's 13. And every weekend when she came over, Lee, not every weekend, but darn near every weekend when she came over, things would happen of now I've come to know as the poltergeist type nature. So what I know now looking back is that I know that, adolescent females, when they start to reach a certain part of their life, puberty, things like that, and they've had trouble past, which I also found out later was something that's true. There seems to be this phenomenon where objects are moving around the room. It's somewhat sentient sometimes. Sometimes it's not. But she would come, and it would be like a Friday night. We all were, sent to bed 9 o'clock, things like that. And when you go into the room, so you go to the first room, and then you get to the second room, there's a doorway there. The doors swang into the room to the left. So if you're looking out of the room, it would be on your right side in the room you're standing in. That's important detail later. And I just remember one night we're going to bed. This is an amalgamation of a few nights. I can't remember all the details other than the fact that I know it wasn't just one occurrence. And so we're in the room. I'm in a separate bed on the far wall when you go into the room on the right side, and they're on the close wall, the near wall when you first walk in together in a bed. So we're just going to sleep. and suddenly all the lights started just flicking off and on, like in the room, and we didn't know what, we were freaking out. We're like, what, we're kids, we're screaming and carrying on and crying, and my parents, it's Friday night, they're letting their hair down per se, having a good time, listening to their American country music and having a good time. And so they're like, what are you doing up there? Stop playing around, go to bed. So we tried. Then, like I said, it's been 30 years ago, no longer than that, 37 years ago. And so this is in the summer of 1988. Very hot summer, by the way. I remember that. And so we're trying to go back to sleep. This is still kind of happening. It would flick on once in a while, off once in a while. We touched the switch, I remember, kind of, and we didn't know what was going on. And we were just laying there in the beds, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, there was like a row of shoes when you came into the room on the left side where you would walk past him to get to the bathroom in the back. And it was like, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 pairs of shoes. They were being literally like thrown at us by something unseen in the dark. So I remember actually getting hit and seeing like stars a little bit, like I got hit in the head. And I'm like, who's throwing the shoes? And they're over there screaming and crying, both of them like with their sheets pulled up and, recoiling from the horror and getting hit and screaming. And then my parents, what the hell's going on up there? And my little sister, I was not the brave one in this one, by the way. I'm not brave at all. I was the weenie from all of them. And so my little sister, younger than me, goes down the steps, tells them, they're like, oh, your older sister's playing tricks on you. Just go to bed. So, okay, so we're into bed, and we're trying to go to sleep again. Like I said, I don't remember if this is the same night or a different. It was 2, 3 times, maybe 4. So there was one instance, Lee, I'm laying in the bed, and there's a space between the wall and the bed, like normal. And it felt like something reached up between the bed and put its hand squarely on my chest. It felt like I could feel digits, everything. And I literally jumped out of bed, and I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? Has something touched me? And my little sister was like, oh my God. And she ran down the steps. I'm standing in the middle of the room, just shaking. And my older sister's trying to calm me down. It's okay. Just relax. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry, Tom. Okay. So my little sister goes down once again, the same thing, go up the steps. By the way, people, listen to your children. this scarred us pretty much our whole lives. She comes up the steps, and she's walking through the room to come to my room. Now, remember, the door is now swung into the room I'm standing in. I take like 2, 3 steps towards the door, but I'm maybe, I don't know, 4 foot away from the door frame itself, with the door in the room where I'm standing. And I say to her, what did they say? And as I said that, Lee, the door slammed right in both of our faces. And they say fight or flight, but there's also freeze. It's 3 F's. It's alliteration to the fullest. It's fight, fight, or fear. And I had, or flight, fight, and freeze. And I froze. I couldn't move a muscle. It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced up to date. Even now, it's still the scariest thing I ever remember in my life. I mean, I've been to war. Okay, so no big deal. She opens the door and says, did you slam the door in my face? And I said, like a mouse, like a church mouse. I was like, no. And she goes, okay. And then like grabs me, turns me, and walks me to the bed, like, Weekend at Bernie's or something. Lays me in the bed. And my older sister comes over, let me put a sheet on you, puts the sheet on me. And there were still other occurrences, every once in a while the light would flick off and on. And there was one other thing I kind of vaguely remember where it felt like there was air drafts between the sheet and the bed, and I could feel it blow. And you can actually see them on the sheet making like these ripples. And that was freaking me out. It was the damnedest thing, honestly.
And I love it how when people tell these kind of stories and they had their first encounter at an early age, I love it how everybody puts the sheet up above the head, like that's going to protect you.
It's kind of like a cloak or a veil of protection that doesn't do. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist.
Exactly. So when you was a little bit older, did you actually do any research to see if there's any history from that property of what was happening?
I never did any research because I was young. We moved around a lot, so that was '88, and then we moved to another house in the same, like at the end of the summer. So, but I do remember my grandmother never told me these things, and she ended up telling my sister some parts of certain things. And I remember the one that she told me. So she would sit across the street from this house at Mrs. Brooks's house. She's no longer with us, so therefore I can say her name. And they would sit on the front step on on the evenings and have a beer and talk and older lady stuff. And I remember her telling me that she saw one time like a veiled something, like a woman, she said, walking in and out of the houses one night, and she thought that she was going crazy. Also, during this time, before we moved out, I actually asked my parents if they could move in the back room, and we moved to the front room. So there's the two rooms, so we moved to the one in the middle. Hot as the dickens in the summer. No air conditioning back then, man. This is the '80s. My mother told me later that she never felt comfortable in that room, as if something was constantly staring at her. So, but actual looking into it, I went there at a later date too. Maybe 2 years later, some other family we knew. So Mrs. Brooks' daughter actually moved into the same house, and she had some children that were my age, and we were playing video games one day. But I remember in that room playing like Nintendo, the old one, with the rectangular controller, just kind of checking the corners, man. But no actual like
Yeah.
going in with a meter or something.
And do you know if Mrs. Brooks's family experienced anything in that property?
No, I don't. No, I don't. They were kind of. My dad is a different kind of man compared to some of the people there. My dad is old school, and he's just like we don't really. First of all, he never believed me. He didn't believe us. So we never really had that kind of connection to it, and they weren't exactly the best of people. There was like they were having some issues too. I don't want to get too far into that. They have their own privacy as well. But I remember my dad never believed. He's in his 70s. He still doesn't really believe us. My mom kind of does, but I've actually had my sister on my show like a long, long time ago. I can't get her back on to actually corroborate what we saw that day, or those days, better said, and actually the subsequent things that have happened to her in her life. So yeah, so
Yeah. And
short answer,
one,
no.
okay, yeah. And one thing that I find interesting is, and I've had it with a couple of people in the past, is when they speak to their parents about what they've experienced as a child, it's not necessarily the fact that the family member doesn't believe them. They just don't want to admit what's going on because they've had an experience that they don't want to talk about. Now, do you think it's the fact that your dad just did not believe you, or do you think he may have experienced something himself?
No, I think my dad is one of those kind of dudes. And to give you a really funny example of that, I remember in the year 2000, I think The Matrix came out in '99. So he's like, "Have you seen any good movies?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. I've watched The Matrix. You got to check that out." So maybe a year goes by. I said, "Did you ever watch that movie?" He goes, "Yeah, I watched the movie. It was dumb." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Wait a minute. We live in a computer. Get the F out of here." So he's one of those kind of guys. We exist in a computer. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
Okay. So after these events, you moved out. Mrs. Brooks's family moved in. What was the next example of something that happened in your life after that?
Well, many years went by. There was times where the house would be settling, or a door when we moved to Pennsylvania was moving in the wind, and I would be freaked out. And my dad's like, "See, that's what I told you. It's all in your head." So nothing there. I don't really remember anything of consequence until I joined the army in 1998. Well, 97, and I left for basic training in '98. I stayed in Germany from '99 to 2001. Did the rest of my time in Kansas, and then ended up moving back after meeting my wife there. So I spent altogether 20 years in Germany. I'm a fluent German speaker. Now I'm in Mexico, and I'm working on getting that nailed down as well. And so I'm a big metalhead, big metal fan. I'm a musician, singer. I'm also a painter. You can see some of my paintings up behind me there, and comedian, all that stuff. But anyhow, so we had this practice room, my band, and my lead guitarist on the rhythm vocals. He was leaving to go to BASF in New Jersey. So the headquarters is in a place called Ludwigshafen in Germany, and I lived in a city on the other side of the Rhine River called Mannheim. And this area is called the Industriegebiet, which is in English, the industrial area. And this particular building was built before the Second World War, and it wasn't demolished by the Allied bombing in the time. Although there was many factories around there that did receive the bombing, better said. And I'm trying to be eloquent, but I realize that I'm not. So I'm just going to speak normal, if that's okay.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. It's not a problem.
I know that. I'm pulling your chain, man. So this place was called the Power Tower. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's an old office building, or I don't know if it's a factory. It had a weird layout. So it was 4 floors. It's condemned now. I actually talked to my friend who still lives there. He's like, yeah, they closed that down. So it was very old and pretty dilapidated. But so the owner of the place, there was like multiple floors, and there would be different bands in there, and people who did mixing and mastering and things like that. Mostly rock and metal and some hip hop and a couple things. And we were on the 3rd floor, so you get out of the main stairwell, which is in the center of the building, and then there's like a hallway that goes all the way around the square center hallway, and then there's like these doors in the corners that go to different parts of the floor. And mine was, when you come up the steps, it was the one to the right. So there's a key to get in, then there's a key to get to that door, and then you make a right and you go down this long hallway, which has then fire doors for smoke, and they also have light. Oh my god, light motion sensors, light sensors, motion sensors. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lichtbewegungsmelder for you German speakers out there. And sometimes the words come quicker in other languages, and so you go through and the lights would click on. You can hear these doors opening and closing as you go to this, to our room, which was in the back. So you get to the end of that hallway, then you make a right turn, an immediate right. That was our practice room. But if you don't make the immediate right, it goes straight again, and it was a back stairwell for fire purposes, for safety. So it's whatever they call it, the fire escape, but it's still encapsulated within the building. And so we're in this room. It was a quite big room. We were sharing it with another band. And we were like, okay, let's get some recording done before, his name was Max, my buddy, still my friend, leaves. So we can say we have something for this 6-7 months that we've been working together creating these songs. We're like, okay, for the weekend, we rent some microphones for the drums. We get something to record it. Boom, let's go. So we stayed 16-hour days for a Saturday and a Sunday. So I think it was a Saturday night. We're sitting there, and I'm sitting on this couch after like one of the songs we recorded. I'm sitting on this couch just facing the door out into this hallway. And the door's open. The hallway is dark, of course. And it creates like this light from the room, but it's not like straight on. It's kind of like an angle, like a rhombus shape. And, whatever. I'm not paying attention. We're talking, we're chewing the gab, and I'm the only one looking over this way. And I hear, which sounds like somebody coming in through those fire doors in the long hallway there. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm hearing footsteps, I'm not paying attention because there's other bands and, like I said, other people there. And, a bit of time goes by, and I realize, I didn't hear any other door open to go into any of the rooms. And so I'm like, what, that's weird. And then as I do that, I just kind of look at the door frame, and I swear, Lee, I saw this black shadow figure with a hat on cross in front of the door frame within, however long it takes to cross a door frame, maybe a second, less than a second. But I seen it just go. It was black as night, blacker than the dark hallway or any of that. And you couldn't see the very top of the hat, but you could see where it stopped. So you could see the brim, and you could see it go up, and then there was the door frame. And it just walked past. You couldn't see like any distinguishing features, but it seemed like it was wearing like a duster, I guess what you would say, like a long coat. And so they see me looking kind of like, I'm staring and with my mouth open a little bit. And they're like, what did you see, Tom? And I'm like, I really don't know. So I actually stood up. I wasn't afraid. I stood up and walked over there, and I looked to the right, because I didn't hear the fire door open. I didn't see anybody standing over there in the corner. Nothing. I looked to the left, there's nothing there, dude. And then they were like, what did you see? I was like, I seen a shadow go across in front of the door. And so before I started the podcast, I was podcasting with somebody else, and they said to me, what's your experiences? I told them this, and they go, dude, you saw a hat man. I'm like, what's that?
I was
What's a
just
hat
about to
man?
say the same. Yeah.
I didn't know what that was. I looked it up on the internet, and it's exactly what I saw, but it didn't have any red glowing eyes. But that's exactly what I saw. It's weird, man.
Yeah. And this story of the Hat Man is really bizarre because, they can be in different, different corners of the world.
It's ubiquitous, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty much the same kind of description, no matter where you are.
Mm.
And it's really weird.
Have you ever heard of one being outside before?
Yes.
Because for me, I had a gentleman on who said, yeah, I seen one underneath a lamppost outside in a field, like in Missouri or some shit. I'm like, outside? But yeah, man, it's such a weird phenomenon because you always hear like dark shadow figures and stuff.
Yeah.
But this one is so defined and so distinct. I don't know. Have you heard any theories on it?
I haven't, but I would love to. But one thing that is always prominent in all the stories, the figure may not be exact every time, and there may be a slightly different hat, but the posture and everything is exactly the same. It's either moving from one point to another, or it's just stood there, either watching or whatever. But it's the basic outline is exactly the same, no matter where you are in the world, and that is strange.
Some of the hats do vary. It's true, but the one I seen and the best. I don't know if you had this in England or if any of your listeners will know this from the 90s. There used to be an old cartoon called Spy versus Spy, where they had the long nose and they had these hats. It's not like it's not like a derby hat or derby. You would know. What's it called?
Derby.
Derby. So
derby.
It's not a derby hat, but it's not a cowboy hat, but it's in between.
Yeah.
It looks like a Dick Tracy hat.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I would describe it.
And we used to have some, I can't remember what kind of drink it was, but it was either a port or a sherry or something like that. And the symbol that they had on the bottle was that of the Hat Man.
Dude, you got to send that to me. I want to see that.
I'll definitely have a look.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I got to see that. That's crazy.
I'll just make a note that I've got to look for it.
All right, that's interesting because I would like to look into the company and where that maybe comes from. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, because like I say, I can't remember if it was like sherry or port or whatever, but it was the outline was the Hat Man.
Yeah, man, like I said, I've spoken to maybe 2 other people who've seen it, and every time it's some people said you'll hear it sometimes connected to what's that called? Sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
Like where they'll be like over top of them. And sometimes it'll just show up in places and you're just like, what is that? And some people, there's an ominous feeling to it. But with me, I didn't have that. It was just more like a, hi, I want you to see me look.
Yeah. I wonder if there's anything kind of, people say that they always, if someone's about to die, they'll see the angel of death or something like that. I wonder if it's obviously not the same kind of thing because people don't always die. But I wonder if it is a foreboding of something that's going to happen
or has happened,
and it's just there to, I don't know, make sure. Yeah, so it's really weird, and I'd love to know more about this. So I might have to do some more investigating.
It's one of those. It's a weird one that you would see. It would be strange if you've seen it with like a baseball hat, or if you've seen it wearing like a leather jacket. But it's always it's almost like a cowboy feel to it, but it's more like a.
It's like a cape. He's wearing a cape.
Kind of like an Undertaker, but without a top hat.
Yeah.
Kind of exactly. Like that. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is. So, after your experience in Germany, at what point in your life did you decide that you wanted to talk about your experiences and to talk about other people and their experiences?
Well, I never thought about it. Okay, so all my skill sets kind of wound up, wound up being doing what it is that I do as a podcaster. So, being a comic, being on stage, talking to people, after a while, speaking with you over line, it's no big deal. I'm standing in front of, 80, 100, 200 people talking about poop jokes or whatever I'm doing, and and so that lended to it being a frontman in a metal band, and then always being able to express myself. So that's something I always had. I never thought about podcasting, and then I moved to Mexico, and you know I ran across this gentleman who kind of helped me, get accustomed to the scene here. It's a lot different. It's a big culture shock, whether you're either coming from Europe or North America. It's such a different world. And we were like, it was a subject that he brought up. Hey, man, have you ever had any paranormal experiences? He now has a podcast too. It's called Codex of Curiosities, Rivals. And he was like, "Hey, have you had anything like that?" And I'm like, and I told him, and he was like, "Oh, wow, dude, we should do a show." And so like the first episode, he kind of talked about some of his experience, and I talked about some of mine, and then we started interviewing people. Then there was a split. I realized that I had the ability to do so I started doing it.
And you said that was back in.
This show it'll be in February. It'll be 2 years.
Okay.
It'll be 2 years. The Eye of Jupiter has been around. Yeah. But I've had things happen to me here too, man. More things have happened to me here than all the, 40 years before. So we ended up buying, we're talking about the show. We're doing like this practice run, and we're at his father-in-law's house because he was getting his house built. And so I'm facing the kitchen. We're in the back of the house, but outside in the, what do they call that? Terrace area. And he's like, "Hey, let's put a microphone up. Let's see how it would work. Let's see how our banter is with one another." And he's great at it. And together we were fantastic. So he goes, "Yeah, I've been seeing things here in this house too. There's something here." I'm like, "Okay, you want another beer? Yeah. You want some water? Hey, here's some pretzels, whatever." And I'm looking in the kitchen, and I see like this misty figure just materialize like right by the island and just walk into the wall. And he see me look, he goes, "Did you see it?" And I go, "Yeah." "Yes, I did." And he goes, "What did it look like?" I was like, "A misty figure." He goes, "I've seen the same thing." But here's where it gets really wild, man. Okay. So I came to Mexico because I didn't want a certain medical treatment happen to me. And I was somehow brave enough to give up everything in Europe to come here. And I ended up buying 4 hectares. For our American audience, that's about 10 acres in the middle of the jungle. Okay. And we're talking, it's a kilometer from the road to my property, and you're going through mud and rocks, and there's jaguars here. There's, snakes, scorpions, tarantulas, not even just spiders, tarantulas here. And it's way back there in the middle of nowhere. And I may or not, I can either confirm or deny that I actually do have possibly Mayan ruins on my property. Okay. And I didn't know that when I bought it. So we walked around the perimeter, and then through time, after I bought it, I walked through and I found possibly, I'm not sure if because, I'm not the brightest fellow in the world, a circular thing, like a circular path that's level, and it is about 4 meters in diameter, something like that. About 4. No, let me see. If I lay down, about 4 meters in diameter. And it's weird. So it's a ridge line. So part of my property is flat. Part of it has a mountain on it. That's about 100 feet in the air, about 30 meters. And there's a ridge line that comes down, and then there's this flat spot, and then it goes down some more. And if you stand on that, which I haven't done because it's freaky, and if the trees are cleared, you can look left for about 2 kilometers. If you look right for about the same 2 kilometers. So I'm thinking it's like a lookout post, my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if it's even real, guys. I can either confirm or deny. So I was, that's interesting. And I started talking to hunters because my truck would break down, and this one mechanic I had told me he was a hunter. And you start hearing these stories about this entity here. It's kind of like a homunculus. It's kind of like a cherub, like elemental type thing. A cherub is like a Cupid. That's the most commonly known one. And they kept talking about this thing, and it's called Aluxes. ALUX is plural, Aluxes, XES. So singular, plural. And I actually eventually talked to somebody on my podcast about this, and it's a Mayan made elemental that is the protector of the property and their corn. Right? So I'm like, okay. So basically, there's like a 7-day or a couple week ritual. For some reason, I cannot remember that, where it has to do with mud, corn, blood, and it's mixed, and they make like a little like statue thing on the property, and they give it offerings of food like corn, and they do like singing rituals. And on the seventh day, or how many weeks it is, this thing then disappears. All right, one day disappears, and it's such a common occurrence here that people here will talk about it openly, and it's so weird. Uh, so this hunter told me that, yeah, if you're near the wood line, if you're near a mountain in the woods, like a little hill, a mountain, it's not really a mountain, it's more of a hill here, you will get rocks thrown at you. Like, what are you talking about? So we're on the property. I'm there for about 2 months. I built a little shelter somewhere we can sleep in. Put a concrete floor in. Actually took logs, put them on the floor, made a roof out of metal, corrugated metal, and just whatever. Cleared it out a little bit because in the fire season you're going to make sure you clear all the brush. And me and my little daughter is out there we're roasting some marshmallows on an open fire, and my ex-wife is, doing whatever in the house. And we're just sitting there talking, Dad, this is cool. Yeah, we're out here and we're in nature. It's beautiful. Yeah, Daddy, and then all of a sudden, dude, like you just hear this rock flying through the foliage and hitting behind me. And I was like, I'm getting a little tired, baby. Let's go inside. So we go inside. Nothing happened for about 2 months. And then one night, it's a house. And then I have like this outdoor area that we enclose with a mosquito net, because the mosquitoes here will literally eat you alive. I know that's like, a colloquial term that people use to like go, oh yeah, they eat you alive. No. They will eat you alive here. There's like 5 different species that I've seen with my own eyes.
This big.
No, some of them are big. Some of them are like tiger striped. They have little black and white stripes, black and yellow stripes on them. There's an all yellow one. That's the ones with malaria and dengue fever, which is a very common occurrence here. Not malaria so much, but definitely dengue fever. And hurts like hell, supposedly. I haven't had it yet. Lucky me. Keep my fingers crossed. And so it's all screened in. And, me and my daughter are sleeping in these big hammocks. You can actually see a yellow one over here behind me.
Yeah.
Over there. That's where I sleep because of my bad back. And I'm sleeping in one, and hers is crossed over top of mine, and she's sleeping in another. And like about 3 a.m, Lee, I get up, I go to the bathroom, I go to lay down, Lee. I'm laying in the hammock, right? And I'm laying kind of on my left side, and I swear something whispered in my ear, and you can feel the hairs of your ears moving. I'm at that age where hair is growing out of my ears. I could feel it moving. And it wasn't okay. So I'm a German speaker. I'm an English speaker. I know at that time I can understand the syntax that is involved in Spanish, and it wasn't either of those. So I'm guessing it's Mayan or something demonic. I haven't the slightest clue, but it sounded like this, dude. It was like, and it was on my left ear, and I literally threw a punch in the night because I thought someone was standing in the thing with me. And I look, and there was nothing there. Okay. Another time, I'm sorry, this is three stories. No. 3 stories.
Carry on, dude.
No, 4 stories. Excuse me. So we got the rock, we got the whisper in the night. Another time, so no, it was it the same night? It is the same night. So as I hear this, I throw a punch. I'm laying in the bed, in the hammock. I look over above my daughter. I remember I was telling you about the corrugated ceiling of metal. I look over, and there's this. It's hard to describe. It's like a bluish white light. It's like if you had a swimming pool and you see the lights in the pool and it makes that wavy effect. It looked like that, but it was in a circle with not really well-defined edges. And it's kind of moving in a little bit of a circular motion, kind of, not very planned or organized. And my first instinct is like, oh, okay, someone is here with a flashlight. What is that? So I go to look to see where the source of this light is coming from. I didn't see it. As soon as I look back, it was gone. Okay. That was weird. So then another time, maybe 2 weeks later, I added an addition to the house with a bathroom next to me. So it was bathroom was one place, and I moved it to another place. And in the night, I wake up to go to bathroom again. And I got my phone light because it's dark out there. And on one of the logs I used to make these metal walls, and this particular part of it's metal walls, so no one can look in there and people have their privacy. Lee, I look, and there's a snake in there. It's maybe, I don't know, 2 foot long, nothing big. And it's on one of these logs wrapped around it, eating ants that were coming down this log. And I'm like, oh my God, Well, it's not. I don't think it's a poisonous snake but I can't be too certain. So, and I don't want any snakes sleeping about 10 foot away from me. So I took the backside of a machete, very important. The backside, not the sharp side, the backside. And you have to make sure the snake is facing you, not away from you, because it can coil and then jump at you. So I just took it, whacked it in the head, and killed it. Offed it. Excuse me, I'm going to have to edit that out.
No,
35 something. You got to go ahead
no,
and
no,
make
no,
sure you
no,
cut that
no,
out.
no, no, no. We don't have to edit. We have explicit life.
Right. Oh, okay. I have to. And so I'm like, okay, that's done. I left the machete stuck on the log. The snake was on the ground, whatever. I lay in the hammock again, and I'm just about to go to sleep. And I kind of looked over at my daughter, who's a little farther away from me now, maybe 20 feet, in a slightly different position at an angle. And now I see her. The light was above her. Then I look again back to my right where that snake just was on the wall now. Same phenomenon. Blue light would look like light was shining through water, right? I, once again, where is it the source coming from? Look back, disappears. Okay, this is weird. Laying in a hammock. So behind me is where the mosquito net ends. Behind the hammock, maybe 3-4 feet behind me. And then outside of that, behind me, I hear about maybe 20 yards, 20 meters, 30 meters, something like that, slightly to my left, that same voice. And I could not distinguish what it was saying. Now, I preface this by saying that I am not a Christian. I'm a man of God, okay? But I do know that the name Jesus Christ holds sway over these phenomenon sometime. There's people who have to vanquish, Bigfoot from their property or demons from their house, and they'll say, in the name of Jesus Christ. So I said that because I knew it was some type of protection. What that means, I don't know. Maybe one day I will become a Christian, but until then, I know this happens and I don't use it for no reason. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. But I just said, in the name of Jesus Christ, I do not allow you to bother my family. You can stay here. I know that you're probably part of this land. You were set here by somebody else. Those people are now deceased, and you want to protect the property. It's completely fine. I'm not here to harm the property. I'm here to protect the property. If anything, improve it. And then I went up to that place that I was telling you about, and I did the same thing the following morning. And ever since then, I haven't had any problems.
That is weird.
It's wild, bro. Jungle entities in the Yucatan of Mexico. I don't think you got a story like that yet, but it's happened to me, man. I promise you.
I have had a guy on that spoke about Mexican cryptids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like the Nahual. Like the Nahual.
Oh, I tried saying half of them and he would just laughed at me. So it's like,
you got the La Llorona, which is the one that screams.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Then you have the Nahual, which is basically your skinwalker.
Yeah.
And then the one famous here, there's a famous witch in this part of Mexico in the Yucatan. It's kind of like the Bell Witch of the Yucatan, and it is called Ixtabay. And that one is a crazy one where men are like drinking, and then they'll go, "Hey, you want some more beer? Follow me." And they go into the woods and then never see them again.
I think I could do that with a few people actually.
Oh, okay. You get some drunk. You'll put some drunks down here and put them out here in front. Yeah, sure.
I'll send them your way.
Well, supposedly this thing has like a chick, like you'll see, it's like a beautiful woman, fair skin, long black hair, beautiful. Then you look down to her legs, and one's a horse leg, and one's a chicken leg. And then when you freak out and look back up, she's a hag. That happens too.
I know people that are like that as well. Anyway, so you said that you've done the Eye of Jupiter podcast for a couple of years. Are there any particular people you've spoken to or stories that you've heard that if anybody asks you this question, you can immediately go to and go, this one was amazing and this is why?
There's a few of them, man. There's I don't remember the episode. There was a man, his name was, I can't think of his name right now either. Oh, you're putting me on the spot here, bro. But he lived in Indiana, James Fatka, that's his name. I'm trying to get him back on, but there's reasons that I can't, but I will hopefully in the future. Let's keep our fingers crossed. He lived in northern Indiana. It was like a housing development, and then another part of the housing development with like a hill between them with a wooded area. And he was talking about this time that he heard something like jump off a branch in the woods, and he was with a friend of his, and he didn't know what it was. You can see the branch still moving, like that kind of thing. And then he was walking a little farther, going up this hillside, and he looks up and he sees what he called an 8 to 10 foot owl with a 30-foot wingspan jump out of the tree and fly directly towards him and his friend. He said when he seen it, the face was silver, and then behind it, it was kind of like fuzzy. And he hit the ground. This thing swooped back, was trying to actually, get him. And he was like flopping. He's like, and he said then there was another moment that this thing then finally flew away, was trying to actually take him out. 10 feet tall, 30-foot wingspan, right? This thing was up in a tree, and then his friend was there freaking out. And his friend was like, and he was like, what's the problem? It's over there now. We're good to go. And he said, look behind you. Look behind you. There was about 4 other ones that were slightly smaller that looked the same, that were behind him about maybe 20, 30 yards away in other trees. So that one was a wild episode.
Jeez.
That one is one of the ones where I go, oof. I've spoken to this is one that's recent. She is a Native American woman from Oregon. She is I called the episode as like the last of her kind. At least that's on the thumbnail. And that's a recent one, maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. She is the last of her Indian tribe or Native American tribe who did like the rite of passage where they go into the forest for a year. And she was only able to do it 9 months back in the late 70s because it was kind of like they finally got the right to do it again, which is ridiculous, but she was able to do it again. And her name is Awiza. And Awiza is medicine woman, and she's the last to do it. She was born in a double placenta. She tells me the whole story. So she is supposed to go out into the woods, and her grandmother, who was the one before her who did it last, says, you are going to be carrying on our tradition. So she came on my show. She's been watching me, digs what I do, came on. Took me like 4 months. Still no video of her because she can't get her camera working. And she was like, yeah, so I go out there, and she tells me there's 3 different types of Sasquatch people or forest people. There's the ones that will trade with you that are nice. There's the ones that like to mess with you and they'll trick you. And then there's ones that will just basically grab you and eat you. And I'm like, okay. So she was telling me the story. So she's out there one day in a cave. She has an upside down bird weir. Okay. A weir for fish is something like a net you put in the stream, but this is like a pine tree upside down. And she's supposed to shoot these birds with a little arrow. And she's very unlucky. So these other ones started leaving her things to eat. One of the trickster ones grabbed the bow one day when she was out doing something, took it over a ridgeline into a creek, put it on a rock in the middle of the creek, and the creek then went up into a swampy area. She goes, this dude, just talking about it, it's one of those stories, man. She follows the footprints or whatever, the sign that something traveled that way that she didn't see before, finds the bow, goes over the crescent line, finds the bow in the middle of the creek. She hears something as she's going there up in the ridge line following her. She's thinking maybe it's a groundhog. I don't know what it is. She goes to pick up the bow, and then something goes, psst. Looks out from behind the tree. It's one of these Bigfoot creatures to say, can I help you with anything? And that's when you have to say no, because it would trick you. And she goes, no, thank you. Walks along the creek. This thing is following her on the ridgeline, and then the helper Sasquatch got between her and it, and she survived. But the thing that says, is there anything I can help you with? I swear to God, dude, it's still, dude, I swear, I'm not like faking it up for the show, but it freaked me the hell out, dude.
Yeah. I like when you talk to people and you get those jaw drop moments, because even you're telling me the story third hand, and I'm just like, what?
She says it even better, dude. When you hear it, the way she says it with her, because she speaks the native language, so she speaks English. There's a little something in there, It's very good, it's perfect, but there's like a little, the white man come kind of thing, but not like that. I'm not trying to be rude or racist or anything, but it has a little something to it. And when she says it, dude, all the hairs on my arm stood on end. And I was like, God damn, dude. And I'm going to have her back on when she gets her video camera up. And people of native cultures have been reaching out to me to talk about it. And I'm very grateful for it, man. I try to provide a space in which people can come and tell me their stories, to make
100%.
them feel human again, to reconnect with human and say, look, many people may not believe you, but I do, and I will listen
Yeah.
to you.
And that's one thing about doing what we do. Yeah, apart from the fact that we both enjoy doing it, it doesn't matter who we've got in front of us and who we're talking to. You can't say yes or no if that person saw what they saw, or they had a vivid dream and they dreamt what they saw. You can't call anybody a liar, but what you do have to do is to respect what they are telling you and then ask questions accordingly.
Absolutely, because the thing is like, me having a Hat Man and Poltergeist experience, and what happened to me on the ranch out here on this property, that happened to me. I've never seen an 8 foot tall, simian or whatever you want to call it, or primator in the forest, or dog man. I have seen jaguar footprints and a python about 3 meters, but nothing like that. So when they're telling you that and they say, man, I used to hunt and fish my whole life, and I haven't been able to go back in the woods in 4 years because I've seen this thing. You have to listen to them. You have to,
Yeah,
and just give them that. You have to birth them the ability to say what they want to say and make them feel as
exactly.
if you're listening, which is what I do. I want them to
Yeah,
know that I'm here for them. And they still
exactly.
reach out to me. Many
Yeah,
of my people, many of my, interviewees still write me, hey, how's it going? How's the family? And trying to create that community so they feel not so alone.
100%. And I was at an investigation on Saturday night, and it's a two-story property. The first floor was completely redeveloped to how it used to look in the 1800s. Second floor is extremely forlorn, for want of an easier word. However, whenever they raise enough money to redevelop it, they're going to do it bit by bit. And we were up there and we were doing the normal investigative things, and I literally felt like something small grabbed my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but only I experienced that. Yeah, I did a quick check and I thought, well, it's not cobwebs because my hand was hanging out of my pocket. If there'd been cobwebs or something, my shoulder would have taken them out.
Yeah, man.
So it was something that literally grabbed my hand, but only I experienced it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That happened
nobody
to
can
me,
call me
dude.
a liar. Yeah,
2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, my girlfriend goes, this is a Friday night, man, in Mexico outside. Now, this is real, man. And it didn't freak me out. And I'll tell you why in a minute. So we go up to the corner store. It's called a Six. That's where they sell beer. And I was like, yeah, like, give me a 6 pack of beer. I paid for it. And I pulled out my wallet. And then she was giving me the change. I handed the wallet and the change to my girlfriend. And she's off to my left, like right next to me, not touching me, but next to me. And to my right, there's a handicapped gentleman about 3 foot away. And as she's doing it, and I'm looking in as the woman's getting the beer, I felt something, Lee, grab the back of my shirt and tug it twice like a fish would, like if you're biting. And it's just boop, boop. And I looked at her and she wasn't close to me, but I still had to ask the obligatory question. I go, did you touch me? And she goes, no, I know it wasn't this gentleman. He's too far away. And yeah, and I didn't feel scared because it seemed like it was a child
yeah.
saying, hey, I want you to know that I'm here. And it's a weird feeling to not
Oh
be
yeah,
bothered by it.
100%. Uh, I am getting conscious about the time because I know that you've got another appointment. So, out of all the different types of paranormal things that there is, UFOs, cryptids, ghosts of spirits, do you have a particular favorite?
No, I don't actually. If you were to like something like this, as scary it is for some people, I can tell you the one that's the most interesting to me because it seems to be the most real, and that would have to be Sasquatch. Um, any tertiary, not tertiary, that's the third. Any cursiary, whatever that word. You know the word. You're a better English speaker than I am. Look into the Patterson Gimlin film.
Yeah,
And I sat down with MK Davis. If you guys don't know who MK Davis is, he's like one of the first ones to like still frame it and actually talk to the widower, excuse me, the widower of Mr. Patterson. Can't think of his first name, Roger Patterson. And there's a dog barking outside. Welcome to Mexico. And so it's going to be barking. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And he was able, because the one that they originally showed on Leonard Nimoy's channel back in the 70s was a copy of a copy of a copy, so it looks that way. So he was trying to track down the original one the best he could, and she had one in her attic or something like this, or the garage or something, and it wasn't the original, but it was very close. And he was able to take, I think it's like frame 350, 250, something like this. And he showed me, okay, I took this, I got the original with me, I got a picture, and I gave it to somebody who had like an AI cleanup thing so I can see if there's anything different. And this is what they showed me. And you can see above its head braided hair that is about 6 to 8 inches long. And you're thinking, okay, what kind of suit would someone take the time and put a braided hair on the front? And you hear that from other people. I've had other people come on and say, yeah, the hair was braided. And you're like, okay. And then the one that really got me, bro, there is a slowed down version of it that when it looks back over its right shoulder, you can see that the front right leg does a slight turn. And when it hits the ground, you can see the entire leg muscle wiggle. And it's like, that is not a suit, bro. That is not a suit.
Yeah.
And then 100%. You hear about
100%.
all the things that they can do with the infrasound thing where people are getting sick, where they can kind of, like I had on Barbara Shoop, where I was telling you about that before in the green room there, where it looked like Predator, man. It came, she was like, had a phone, she had a walking stick, and she just had the camera just videotaping, showing people, yeah, here's some structures, here's this, here's that. And somebody was looking off in the distance, and she just happened to be pointed that way. And she goes, she sees her looking, and she goes, what is it? And all of a sudden, you see this thing come out of fall out of the tree and run across the ground away from her. And it's like, it looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Predator movie. And she's like, yeah, these things are gifting me things. They talk. I had Ron Moorhead on do the Sierra sounds. You hear this, what is this? And I think it's real. And I think the government knows about it, but they don't want to get rid of it or admit that it's real, because then the logging rights, the protection rights that will come into play. You can't go in the woods anymore. All the revenue from the national parks and the logging and the gas and the mining and all that would go away. So for them, it makes sense for them just to deny it. They're like, yeah, whatever, it's not there. And the UFOs are coming out. So we're like, yeah, there's UFOs, but we're not going to say there's Bigfoot. I haven't had a UFO. I have seen a couple things with my telescope, a little orange ball floating over a wood line one time, but nothing like where it's like, or it landed in front of me. But that's the one. I wouldn't say my favorite. It's just the one that I believe the most.
That makes
even though
sense.
I have had, other than the paranormal I've had, but things I haven't experienced, that's the one I believe the most. Yeah, and don't worry about the time. We still got a half hour, buddy.
Oh, okay. So we've got a few minutes then anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's it, because I've never experienced, as far as I'm aware, any UFOs or UAPs. But I was at a friend's house a couple of years ago, and he lives out in the sticks. So, no street lights, all that kind of stuff. And we were lucky enough to see the Starlink train.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And if you did not know about SpaceX and Starlink, you would think, you would think it would be like UFOs or something like that. But it was so cool. Yeah,
I've seen them do that over the one ridge line on my property. I've seen them go. Pss, pss, pss. I'm thinking it's like satellites. Then I'm thinking it's like shooting stars, but it would have that fizzy thing at the end. So I'm like, oh, it's a satellite. Oh, it's another satellite. Oh, that must be Starlink. So I did that, and then another night I was facing the southern sky, southwest sky, and I seen this line of white lights. And I was like, what is that? And then it just kind of drifted away. So you have to be like, when you're doing these things and you're experiencing these things, you still have to remain grounded. Have faith in yourself. Remember that the living could do more harm to you than the deceased or whatever this phenomenon is. And just calm down. It can be very scary, especially if you're young. Listen to your children. They know stuff. They're more open for some reason to these things, and just take it in, man. Take it in. And if you can add to it somehow, have an idea, hypothesis, a way to measuring it, a way to reproduce it in some type of, scientific, way so that we can quantify it, that would be great. We're looking for people to, bring some light to this.
That's it. And what I'm quite pleased about nowadays is the world we are now living in, even though some of it sucks, we're actually getting into a place where people openly talk about their experiences.
Yeah.
And as soon as they find out, yeah, people like you and I do what we do, they're more than happy to tell their complete story without any chance of being ridiculed. And yeah, and they will even suggest other people that they can bring on and tell their story. And that's one thing that's really good right now, which I really do like.
Yeah, I think everyone has a story somewhere, man. You know, a lot of it gets, I've seen something, but could be this, it could have been that,
Yeah,
and that's fine. I think that healthy criticism is, or skepticism, better said, and criticism, as long as it's coming from the right place. Intention is everything. I don't think the world sucks too, either, brother. I'm going to go ahead and checkmate you on that one, man. I think the lies have been perpetrated forever since at least the Renaissance. Let's go ahead and say that they have had ultimate control and ultimate track or control of the information we see. And now Pandora's box has been opened by DARPA in the early 90s, and we have this thing called the internet. I think they do not control the narrative anymore, and we see behind the veil, and they have lost all credibility.
yeah,
And real true love and consciousness and opening of the hearts are now happening. There's a split of worlds. There's people like yourself and many others who are like, yeah, man, we need to get in touch with nature. And then there's the people who are like, I'm on the phone 24 hours a day. And I hope they don't do that. Grab your children's hands, go see your mom for Sunday dinner, and just live life, man. It's an
yeah.
interesting and exciting time to be alive, in my
That's
opinion.
it. Yeah. And I love that. I absolutely love that. One thing that I did find extremely amusing, I know that the US did a thing about UFOs a few months ago. And during the questioning, this one guy got asked a question. And then he goes, yeah, I can't answer that question. It's like, dude, you've answered it by not answering it. And that's it's sort of like, don't come out and say, I can't answer that question because you're literally answering the question without answering it. And I love that. It's
Yeah.
absolutely funny.
There's a lot of people we need. Lieutenant was it Lieutenant Fravor, the one who's seen the Tic Tac UFO, and then you have was it George Knapp, and all those things. It's a very interesting subject, and it's so weird. What's weird to me, man, is like I'm a child of the late '80s, early '90s. That's my teenage years. And if they would have said, "Oh yeah, UFOs, or, they're real. We've recorded them. They're coming probably out of the oceans or whatever. We know there would be chaos in the street." But the world has become so, the subtlety is gone. The subtlety is gone. We have like OnlyFans and stuff. It's weird. It's so strange to show
Yeah,
yourself in that light for nickels. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What happened to, chivalry and, being
exactly.
a woman, and all these things are now gone. That when you hear something like, oh, UFOs, you're like, hey, yeah, let me go get a hamburger. That's what's weird. That's
Yeah,
weirder than the UFOs.
yeah, that's it. So, Tom, I am going to let you go for your other appointment, but tell me, where can we find you and your 2 minutes of fame?
My two
Go.
minutes of fame, that's a lot more than I've had before. So I don't know what to do. This is such an honor. Yeah, the Eye of Jupiter podcast. You can catch me on YouTube. You can go and subscribe and like it and share it. Check it out. Play the videos. Leave some comments. Let me know what's up. You can become a member and get some stuff early. You can get it 2-3 weeks earlier, especially if I have a really interesting one. So it's like $5 a month. Go check it out. Do me a big favor if you can. You can find my MP3s everywhere, but if you could go to Spotify and go and download the episodes, of course, follow me over there, and also leave me a rating. That would help me immensely. That way I can make this my full-time job, because I really, really enjoy it. And it's just that I can't give the best quality that I possibly can because of the time crunch that I set myself, 2 years ago. And I want to make sure I follow and continue on with what I said and be determined. So if you could do that, that would be the biggest help you can give me. I don't expect any kind of financial compensation, but if you could just go and say, hey, I'm following you, and hey, I like your show, and hey, here's a rating. You can do that. Every Tuesday in the afternoon, I drop a pre-recorded episode, and every Friday at 6:45 Eastern Standard Time, I have a live show on the channel on YouTube. And you can come over and hang out with us, talk, ask questions of the guest, and become a part of the family. The more the merrier. We enjoy it. There's no rude people over there. We have a great time, and we're looking forward to you. If you have any stories you want to share with me, if you want to talk to me, you can go ahead and contact me at the iJupiterpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get back with you and I'll have you on the show.
Perfect. And I did say 2 minutes, and that was more than 2. So we'll
Was
just
it?
edit some of that.
We'll cut out all the parts where I set up.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed talking to you. I think we could have talked for another 2 hours at least.
Possibly at the end. And the pleasure is all mine. You were on my show. You were such a gentleman, and the viewers really enjoyed having you on. And there was a lot of good banter over on the side there on the chat. And yeah, man, I really appreciate the opportunity
Awesome.
that you presented to me today.
You're most welcome, and no doubt we'll talk again in the future. But for now, have a great rest of the evening. Don't go outside into the hammock because you might get something thrown at you. And we'll talk again soon, my friend. Take care.
Thank you, man. Take care. Bye.